Hello everyone, welcome back. So this time we're actually going to start talking a little bit about how you're going to solve your problems. Now, you're like, solving problems, I've done a lot of problems before. You have, and that's okay. But let's talk about some kind of common mistakes. First off, if you're going to solve a problem, they've all got to have the same dimensions in that equation. For example, if you're solving for area, it's going to be area on one side, and it's going to be equal to area plus area. You can't have, force plus area. That doesn't work. It has to have the same dimensions. Not necessarily the same units to be a valid equation, but the same dimensions. If you actually want to add or subtract, multiply or divide, well, add or subtract, you have to have the same units as well. Multiplication, division, you can do what you want. It's pretty there. Okay. Use an appropriate number of significant figures. However, make sure you keep all those numbers until the very end. I'm just going to be super honest with you. Don't get rid of any sig figs until the end. But at the end, give it 3 or 4. 3 for your answer, typically 4 if it begins with a 1. That's the standard. And then be consistent when you're rounding off. Round up if it's more than 5, round down if it's less than 5. If it's equal to 5, just be consistent. And your textbook will tell you exactly what to do. Okay, so these are just some basic little tips here. It's not meant to be, mind-blowing stuff. Next thing I'd like to talk about is how to solve your problems. What's a good strategy to use? Well, there's a 3-part plan here. If you take my engineering course, you've learned the GRASP method. But either way, interpret, plan, execute. First, read the problem, figure out what it's asking, figure out what's given you, and make some assumptions. Sometimes you have to make assumptions. One common one is, I'm on Earth. I mean, you're going to say gravity is 9.81 meters per second squared or 32.2 feet per second squared. That's an assumption, because most problems it doesn't say that you're on Earth. We just assume we are, because otherwise it'd be really weird. Are we talking about boats and civilization if we're on Pluto? So, make assumptions. In this class, you can always just take as a given that we're on Earth. I'll tell you if otherwise. But for anything else, you got to tell me what that assumption is. And if you can't solve a problem, you just can't figure out how to solve it, make some simplifying assumption and then solve the problem. I'll take off points for a wrong assumption, but I'll give you points for solving the rest of the problem. Okay, plan. Think about your major steps. Figure out how you're going to solve this. Okay, what equations am I going to need? And write them down. Write down your equations. Always write down your equations. Write down equations. It's so incredibly important. Because I can give you points for that. I can't give you points if you don't give me equations. And finally, follow through. Be very careful. Make sure you put everything into your equations correctly. Always write your units, and you'll be there. You'll have it. You'll have done it. So, not much to see here. It's a fairly simple strategy, but I hope it will help you. And with this, that's all. So I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye.